Holy, this game is good. So the beta is upon us, and I gotta say I was pretty spot on before. This game is really a treat to play. Start with both the weakest and strongest point in my opinion, the gameplay. So how this all works is there is the base gameplay, which we already knew was going to be the roguelike mode. This costs no stamina, just has limited weekly reward currency, and this is how you'll set up teams for every other piece of content. You'll build a team of 3 units, and typically you'll want to build teams of single elements. After that, we've got our discs to bring with us. We have 3 main and 3 side discs. The main one will give various passive bonuses, with a couple that we'll need to activate by collecting stat boosts in the form of musical notes. The side disc can cover some of those requirements, and the rest you'll randomly get while exploring the monolith. All modes are neat in that they're at least fairly diverse. In Ascension, where you build your teams, you go through semi-random floors and get some random characters to give you various rewards. You'll get musical notes to boost stats of your team, random ability cards that can completely change how some of your skills work or how your character works. Like when I got on Frisia, normally her skill has to be charged to extend the duration, but a card can now completely remove the charge and give her super armor as well. It's actually neat how you get to kind of build how you want to play your characters. As far as my hype video went, I was pretty on the nose with the combat. You have a basic skill, an ult, a basic skill for your 2 supporting characters, and ults for them as well. From my experience, melee characters have 2 max dash charges and ranged only have 1. This can be increased though with some cards in Ascension, and this is going to differ from unit to unit, because I even got one on a ranged unit, so they had 3 dash charges. Basic attacks are automatic so long as you're in range, which is a mixed bag. Feels less rewarding, but when it comes to casually playing, it makes fighting bosses a lot more manageable to just focus on dodging and using your skills, which they can get pretty busy. There's also this assist button, which just uses your skills for you automatically, but you still have to move your character around. There is no aim button though, it auto-aims based on proximity and the direction you're facing. I haven't had many problems with this yet, but I know this is going to be a pain point for a lot of people. Back on Ascension though, my biggest complaint is how long and repetitive the runs can get, and the RNG can kind of screw you if you're looking for very specific cards. But I also think that's some of the fun of it, to maybe figure out different fun ways to play your team. There is some meta progression to improve aspects of Ascension over time though, so this could be alleviated down the road for all I know. At the end of Ascension runs, you'll save that specific team and all the cards and buffs you collected, and this is now a locked-in saved team that you will be able to take into different content like farm stages and bosses. This is a bit of a double-edged sword for some players. This means if you want to even make minor adjustments to your team or look for different cards, you gotta run through it all over again. There are skip tickets that let you just go through all the decisions in a run without playing it though. For the rest of our regular modes, we have Bounty Trials, which are farm stages. Menace Arena is a bunch of towers. Bounty Hunt are weekly bosses done for some skill materials. These are probably my favorite fights so far. Cataclysm Survivor is a timed survival mode where you pick up card buffs along the way and fight to the end. Boss Blitz, we won't know how long this is normally supposed to go on, but they are existing bosses where you'll live as long as you can and do as much damage as possible. This is similar to Blue Archive's Raid Endgame, where you deal as much damage as you can within a certain amount of time. And last is Apex Showdown, which it's cute. The entire menu is like a setup of a VTuber stream. These are some weekly fights against some bosses in the form of playable characters, at least so far. There's this Apex challenge as well, the cat-style siege, which looks to be a harder or maybe event version of Chaton. My first thought really is that this is PvP, but I have my doubts there. We'll just see when or if it becomes available. No actual gameplay events are in the game as of yet, just the event tab, which is a daily permanent reward track. I almost feel like this won't reflect the actual game, as I feel like it's pretty generous with the upgrade materials. This is a game I think would hugely benefit from some form of cooperative play, or at least collaborative play, so I'd really like to see how all of this content pans out in the future. So far though, I really like that they've tried to diversify how each mode plays out, so each feels distinctly different in some way. Except Menace Arena, that mode just sucks. It's super boring, but it's got the bunny girls, so I guess it balances out. As for all the other little side content, we have Commissions, which is just a dispatch system, and a classic friendship system where you can send and receive daily stamina. Looking into progression, it's split between your account level and upgrading your characters and discs. You'll gain account XP through spending stamina and doing dailies, which will dictate how far you can upgrade different aspects of your units and discs. God, I feel like saying discs over and over again is just weird. Anyway, you'll also have to complete these development tasks in the throne menu to uncap your own account level, but if you do ever hit cap, XP is retroactive, so you'll still gain it once you finally hit that uncap. Maybe some people won't like this, but I found it to be more than fine. It helps keep you in line so you aren't just overpowering through content you haven't done yet, but sometimes you still would anyway. Characters can have their level upgraded as well as be limit broken to raise the cap, and at tier 4 they get a neat animated detail screen instead of the static live 2D one. Skills can all be leveled, which they have their basic attack skill, support skill, and ult. The support skill is what they will use if they aren't being used as your main unit, so you build out 3 skills on your main and 2 on your supports. What's neat is depending on if you use them as main or support, they are completely different skills, so they can really change how your team works depending on even what position they're in. Potentials show all the random buffs and changes they can get in Ascension, all changing depending on if the character is used as your main or your support. Talents is the dupe system, which are broken into smaller shard upgrades, so yeah, there's shards, but a dupe gives you enough shards to fill out 1 star completely, so it's 5 dupes total. So far, I assume there will be other means of farming shards, but right now they're just available in some shops. Like here, you can purchase shards for only a few select characters out of this box. And last is the Affinity tab, where you can check all the fun details if you like those, access their side story, claim these companion mission rewards, and see all the bonuses you get based on your report level. There's quite a bit of stats in here, but I found these fairly easy to level, just takes some time. Discs are a bit easier, they just have a level with a similar limit break system. They can take dupes to boost their main skill up to their rarity cap, so a 3-star disc takes 3 dupes, 4 takes 4, and so on. What's actually a crazy feature that they didn't need to do but they did anyway is these are actual music discs. So each one plays its own unique music track, and the songs are all bangers, so it's actually exciting to see. Some are just remixes of an existing track, but even still, they're really neat. I don't know if these change anything in game though, as they have a main melody and a victory tune, but if so, that's actually wild. As far as story is concerned, Yoastar has really taken a lot from Blue Archive's book, so they've separated story from gameplay entirely, and you can for the most part go and enjoy at your own pace. Where they've really departed from Blue Archive is that here our story is really more grounded. It's campy, fun, and silly, but I wouldn't say it really gets as wacky and nonsensical as Blue Archive does. Getting into spoilers, in the beta we are able to play through the first arc of the story, which is 2 chapters long and is essentially a prologue to establish the amnesiac protagonist and settle into how he or she gets into their role as the boss. A super neat thing that ultimately doesn't mean much yet, as you canonically have to pick the correct option anyway, but there are early bad endings and some branching paths. Like this scene here, getting into spoilers again, we get trapped inside of a monolith and we end up just kind of abandoning all hope, and we end up becoming a cashier at the drugstore. I think the characters are all really well written, dialogue is fun, and the story is straightforward. It really reminds me of enjoying an old Saturday morning cartoon as a kid. I enjoyed the entire ride and I'm looking forward to traveling to the different cities, but one big glaring problem for me is the lack of voice acting. The intro plays out and is entirely voice acted when you start the game, but the rest of the story is nowhere to be found. I'm hoping this is just a missing feature of the beta. And yes, Blue Archive also had unvoiced story, but I feel like in Stella Sora it was already so good and added so much in the intro that it would be a shame to not look forward to any more. Character affection stories are the same outside of the live 2D scenes, which getting into these is where I think it gets a lot sillier compared to the main story. So there's a classic texting system between you and your pulled characters, which I'd say doesn't overstay its welcome. My problem with a lot of texting systems in gachas are the conversations are typically boring and go on for way too long, but here they're pretty brief and goofy. You can build affinity through many means like completing individual achievements, giving gifts, and going on dates. Yes, you can date your waifus, and although it does get a bit repetitive, I still think it's a cute and fantastic feature to have it at all. For the dates, you can do 5 a day, you pick a girl, pick one of 3 locations, and you'll get some random generic repeatable events that happen at each location. But each character also has a couple of extra unique dialogue scenarios that can appear in a couple of the locations, and at the end of the date, you can give a gift, which gives you bonus affinity compared to just outright giving a gift without the date. So yeah, it does get repetitive, but it's still just neat, and I think for these waifu bait games, it would be a nice addition for the fans. I'm also hoping in the future they'll add even more dialogue scenarios to these and more settings. As you raise affinity, you'll unlock some side stories for said character, which are just a few acts long. These are definitely much more lighthearted, and the writers clearly had a lot of fun here. At the final chapter of their story, you'll unlock their live 2D CG scene, and it's actually really easy to get them right now. Like, I can go on one date, give them a gift, and I'm just barely away from unlocking the CG. So if you're into a mysterious, lighthearted, and fun story, then I think Stella Sora is definitely a great ride at all turns. Onto maybe the most controversial part for players is the gacha. So far, banners are split between characters and weapons, both respectively taking a different type of ticket. So far, I've definitely been able to pull more discs. The game seems to give them out as rewards much more often. Currently, we have 5 total 5-star characters available, including the rate up and 5 discs as well, all of them being different elements. The 5-star rate is 1.6%, with the rate up taking 60% of that, so 0.96 goes to the rate up. There's a small portion where pity is worded differently. One part says you are guaranteed the rate up after 160 pulls, which is the hard pity. But the other part, which is how it actually works, says that it is the standard 60% rate up chance. There is no 50-50. There's also not much of a rotating exchange shop off of currency you get from pulling. It just basically converts back into more tickets. 5-star rate on discs is 1.8%, with a 75% chance to be the rate up, meaning 1.35%. Hard pity is at 120 pulls. I think the system should definitely be changed, so there is some means for people to guarantee rate ups, but I also feel like this entire system isn't even finished. The currency obtained from pulling pretty much just goes right back to buy more tickets, which seems strange, especially since it's an unlimited supply. It just seems really bare bones, so I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I have no doubt that most players will also be sending that feedback to them. So with that said, I really can't speak on the generosity of the game. It's felt fine so far, but they also gave out this huge pack of rewards one day just for people to play around with teams and have fun. So for my final thoughts, this game feels rather complete. The biggest technical problem I've ran into is crashing at least once a day. I do feel like the primary gameplay loop of building teams in the roguelike mode might alienate some players though. I'm really hoping they don't skimp on those skip tickets for the players that aren't its biggest fan. It would also be nice to have some way to check out all character details before you pull them, because with the roguelike card buffs changing how units play so drastically in some ways, people will definitely want all the knowledge they can get before spending to pull a new unit. And I already went over how much I think the music just completely slaps in my last Stella Sora video, so all I can say is it's been an absolute treat. As someone who really doesn't like betas, especially of gachas where half the fun is being able to carry my account progression over a long time, the biggest compliment I can give is that I've been playing every day and will continue to play until the last day. I'm also really looking forward to seeing some actual event content and more fun endgame modes that everybody will be able to chase. Yoastar has really managed to create something special, and I feel like this has proven to me that this older style of gacha game never really died, but studios maybe just got complacent. Since this is a beta, I'll be playing all I can, and if I feel like I manage to capture some neat endgame footage, I'll probably upload for people to see and tide them over until the full release. If you have any questions about the game while the beta is still ongoing that you haven't been able to get answered, let me know and I'll try to find out for you. Yoastar, I give you the highest honor of my Michelin star, fish. Thank you all for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time.